But it's in the middle of the night.
But it's in the middle of the night. And if this floor don't shine like the top of the Chrysler building, your backsides will. You understand?
Yes, Miss Hannigan.
What do we say, Annie?
I love you, Miss Hannigan.
Why any kid would want to be an orphan is beyond me.
Hi, welcome to the Bencher Movie Club. I'm Charlie.
My name's Ben.
And I'm Lily.
And in this episode we're talking about the 1982 musical Annie, directed by John Huston, renowned director of Maltese Falcon, Asphalt Jungle, African Queen, Escape to Victory. This was his only musical. He also provides the voice on the radio that's talking to Miss Hannigan when she's making out with the radio. And he also was done the narration for the prologue on Black Cauldron.
Yeah, the only thing I remember of that film is that little, a little gizmo.
Gimli.
Gurgi.
Gurgi.
Gurgi. Yeah. How do I remember its name still? I've seen that since the 80s. Was it the 80s that come out?
Did you see it in the cinema?
I think I did.
Annie stars Aileen Quinn as Annie, who beat out thousands of other girls for the part. Probably thinking it was going to be the start of a big career, but unfortunately only ended up doing 9 credits so far. The most recent one being Will and Grace, where she plays Ramona Delaney in one episode. And after this she's done a really freaky film called The Frog Prince. I'm just going to put a picture up there because it just looks strange. I don't know anything about the film and I don't think I want to.
Is it like a sort of like trippy kind of film?
It looks, well, it's based on Princess and the Frog, but it's got a very low rating. I mean, she looks different because where she ain't wearing the ginger wig, she doesn't look.
She's
like,
got dark hair, isn't she, in real life?
Yeah, well, darker than what they obviously they had her wearing this wig. She of course then went on to front Simply Red. Albert Finney, who's in Erin Brockovich, Big Fish, Scrooge, Skyfall. Sadly died of a chest infection in 2019, aged 82. Carol Burnett plays Miss Hannigan. She was most known in America for the Carol Burnett Show. Which I think is like
it's really big.
Show.
It's like that's what she's known for.
I suppose
we don't know her as that over here. I've heard of it over here. We've never seen it over here, but it is that's a main gig kind of thing, and it was going for years and years and years.
You got Anne Raining, who's in All That Jazz. Mickey and Maud. She sadly died in 2020, aged 71, of natural causes. You got my favourite actor Tim Curry, who's in Clue, Rocky Horror Picture Show, Home Alone 2, Congo, Worst Witch, Hunt for Red October.
He's a brilliant actor.
He's in Scary Movie 2. Everything he's in loads of bad films, but he's always good in them. You know, he's one of those people you think if he'd had some better roles, he'd be recognised.
Yeah.
Because there were so many parts that he nearly got. Like he was nearly the Joker in Batman.
Yeah, he would have been good as the Joker.
He was nearly the voice of Scar in Lion King.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was nearly in Clockwork Orange as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
What, the main character?
I think so. I mean, when I was looking at the trivia.
Oh.
Yeah, probably would have been good in that. Yeah.
Bernadette Peters is in this. She starred in The Jerk, Anastasia, Pennies from Heaven. Famously dated her co-star from The Jerk, Steve Martin. She was married to an investment advisor called Michael Winterberg, who died tragically, aged 43 in 2005 in a helicopter crash in Montenegro. You got Jeffrey Holder plays Punjab, who I always knew from Live and Let Die, where he plays Baron Samedi, the villain. Huge man, 6'6". He sadly died of pneumonia in 2014, aged 84. The connection between him and Albert Finney outside of this is they're both in James Bond films. Edward Herrmann, who's in Overboard, we talked about the other week, Lost Boys, Nixon. Larry Hankin.
He's known for Gilmore Girls, isn't he, a lot? Apparently in America, I think he's like the dad in the Gilmore Girls or something like that. I think that's what he's known for.
Gilmore Girls is quite good.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I wouldn't know what it's about. It's about a load of girls called Gilmore, isn't it?
Yeah, is that what it's about?
No, it's a bit more than that, but it's a good series actually.
Okay.
Okay, is he in it then?
Who?
He's the
Edward
dad. I think he's the
Yeah.
dad in the Gilmore Girls.
Do you recognise him?
Yeah, I only after when I was looking at the trivia, I was like, oh yeah.
Of course,
recognise
yeah,
him,
the
but-
penny drops, yeah. Larry Hankin plays the dog catcher. Most people will know him as Mr. Heckles in Friends, the downstairs neighbours.
Yeah.
But he's also got a small part in Home Alone. He's the cop who is eating the donut when he.
I knew I
throws up.
recognised his face, and it is Friends. It's Mr. Heckles. That's what I know him from.
But I'm sure he's also the truck driver in the Sure Thing who's saying like, I've never had a Sure Thing, but I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, rings a bell.
Amanda Peterson is one of the orphan girls in this. She's only got a small part in this, but she's worth of note because she was about to make it big with Can't Buy Me Love. She sadly died in 2015, aged 43, and it was shortly after her death. She died of an accidental morphine overdose,
Yeah.
and her family had said on a TV show that she was actually raped when she was 15. She would have been around about the time of Can't Buy Me Love. Probably had a knock-on effect with her substance
Same as Corey
abuse.
Haim. It's like, as I say, it's terrible where how a lot of these youngsters was used and abused, and then their lives ended up like tragically alone and like drug abuse and it's really sad, really sad. She's the one in it that goes, Rover, why not think it over? That's her.
Is that how she said it?
Yeah, no, she doesn't say it like that, but I ain't going to sing it because I don't sing like that.
Go on, Lil.
No, I'm not singing either.
But that's the one. She's the blonde girl that says Rover, why not think it over when they're talking about Sandy.
Burgess Meredith, who we spoke about in the previous one on Clash of the Titans, also famously Mickey in the Rocky films and the Penguin in the old Batman series. He actually lent his distinctive voice to the original American ad campaign for this, the trailers, TV and radio.
Okay.
Sean Connery was actually first choice to play Daddy Warbucks.
Okay.
And he was actually taking singing lessons.
It was, yeah, it would have been quite good, Sean Connery.
Yeah, but I think they went right with Albert Finney.
Oh, I think the whole cast was perfect. The cast, I wouldn't change anyone in the cast.
Yeah.
It is it would have been, we wouldn't have known no different if anyone else had played the parts. Because there's also another one that was actually, who was going to be playing Annie. And in the film, she plays Pepper.
Which one's Pepper?
She's like the sort of toughish kind of one. She's one of the orphans, one of the main orphans.
She's the one who steps on the girl's head.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she's her, and her name was Rosanna Sorrentino, and she played Pepper because she was too old by the time the film come around, because she played Annie on the West End stage as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, another person who auditioned for it was Drew Barrymore.
Okay.
And Sarah Jessica Parker, who'd also played Annie on Broadway. A lot of people played. I think Molly Ringwald played her. I mean, it was a big role. It was one of the longest serving Broadway sort of shows.
Aileen Quinn said that she was actually going to play her on Broadway. She was lined up to play her next on Broadway, but she got the part in this film.
Yeah.
So she thought, well, obviously I'm going to be in the film.
I think in Broadway she played all the other characters. She'd sort of learned all the other characters apart from Annie. She's the only character she hadn't played, and then she played Annie, and I think she was brilliant as Annie. I think she was really good. I think it's a perfect choice for Annie. Aileen Quinn.
But she did.
She got a lot of stick for it.
Well,
and she was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a young girl. She's a child.
But the Broadway show actually won Tony Awards for Best Musical and Best Actress for Dorothy Loudon, who played Miss Hannigan. But the movie got no Oscar nominations, but it did get a Razzie for Worst Actress for Aileen Quinn.
Yeah, but she's not a bad actress.
No, I think it's just one of those things where...
I think it's bullying, really, if anything.
Yeah. I think the hype around the film at the time, because it was such a big... it was a big stage production. They thought, right, we're going to make it into a film, and the problem with that, straight away, people were going to pick things apart. They're going to go... Yeah. There are a lot of changes between the musical and film, but we'll get into that. So, Lily... Yeah. Why did you pick this film?
I didn't pick this.
Well, you kind of did.
You're talking about it like, I didn't pick this.
I picked the new Annie.
The woke Annie.
With Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx.
I mean, no, it's...
That's how you talk, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that is exactly how I talk.
Yeah.
It's a childhood movie.
Yeah.
Like, you showed it to me when I was, I think 5 years old.
I think for us it was a childhood movie growing up. I remember, obviously, when it came out... 82, I was 8. So
I was a baby.
So I remember growing up with Annie being in the household. It was like one of them films that you just knew. It was it was a good film, and it still holds up really well to this day.
Yeah.
It's like when I watched it the other day. It's like I don't sit there and go, "Oh, this is boring me." It's a brilliant film. Really, really good film.
And Tim Curry, of course, sent you a message, didn't he, Lil?
Yeah, he did.
Years later. I was lucky enough to work with Tim Curry briefly on a film called Long Drive Home. But when I was chatting to him, I was just saying what a big fan I was of his, and mentioned this film and other films. And I said about my daughter's probably one of your youngest fans, because you would have been about 8, 9 maybe at the time. And he sent a nice little voice message.
Hi, Lily Rose. Thank you for being a huge fan. I need as many as I can get, but you're special.
Yeah, because you said about Worst Witch you knew him from, wasn't it? That's what you liked him from.
Yeah, I love that film as well.
Have you seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah, I've seen Rocky Horror.
Did you like that film, or is that a bit too weird for you?
No, I liked Rocky Horror.
I think everyone does.
She bought me the picture disc of it, LP, for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool. So, Lily, you got any facts?
Well, I have a few facts, but there are also things that you guys have already mentioned.
Oh.
But, for example, Steve Martin was obviously offered the role of Rooster.
Oh.
But he turned it down because he heard he'd be working aside Bernadette Peters, and because they were in the process of breaking up at the time, it would have been too awkward for them on set.
Oh, yeah. See, he would have been good, but I couldn't have replaced Tim Curry.
No.
You know, he's got that sort of performance about him. You know, he would just go straight into the room and sort of own the place.
Steve Martin would have been good as well. And if you hadn't known Tim Curry to do it, you would have known the difference. But Tim Curry definitely is my first choice.
And Steve Martin, of course, nearly had the part of Brad in Rocky Horror Picture Show, didn't they?
Yeah, it's funny how people nearly get these parts, don't they?
And it would, the landscape of cinema changes so much depending on what roles you get.
Yeah.
You get one role, leads into the next.
Also, the production designer, Dale Hennessy, died in the middle of the production of Annie, but Gene Callahan agreed to finish the movie but refused to have his name listed in the credits so he could give all the credit to Hennessy.
Oh.
That's nice of him. Did you know also for... who else was up for playing Daddy Warbucks?
Well, apart from, I only knew Sean Connery.
Jack Nicholson.
Really?
Jack Nicholson, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And for Miss Hannigan, do you know who was originally offered the role of Miss Hannigan?
Who?
Betty Midler.
Right, I could see that, Betty Midler.
Yeah.
See, I thought Jack Nicholson had been offered Rooster.
No.
Okay.
Warbucks, Daddy Warbucks, I think.
Even though Charles Strauss and Martin Charin were hired to write new songs for the film, because they were the ones who wrote the original musical numbers. There's about 5 songs from the original musical which aren't in the film, and they wrote about another 5 instead.
That were in the film that ain't in the musical.
Yeah, but they weren't allowed on set until they threatened to tell the New York Times, and then they relented to let them on. And you think that's a bit mean, isn't it? I mean, writers often get shafted in Hollywood anyway. But to say, no, you can't be on set, you think, but I wrote this song that he's singing. I want to at least watch him sing it.
Yeah.
Also, so despite it being the 10th biggest grossing movie of 1982, it actually didn't make a profit because of the production costs.
Yeah. It was very expensive. Even there was one scene that they didn't that they shot that they never used, which cost $1 million. So that's just a waste of $1 million. And $1 million in 1982, that's a lot of money. And that was for one production. It was the song Easy Street, but it actually goes out into the street there, and there's a big sort of fanfare going on with all these other actors and characters and things going on, and
all the street
in the background,
and stuff. Yeah.
So it would have been a really big performance, but it was too big for the film. It took away from the version that they ended up reshooting.
Yeah.
Which is actually that's better.
Yeah, I heard.
Simple.
Yeah, it was more where he wanted to concentrate. He was so happy with them 3 characters in particular, and those 3 actors.
Yeah.
so Carol Burnett, Bernadette Peters and Tim Curry, it was like, all this is distracting from these three. I just want to have them three.
Yeah.
And I suppose it also takes away from the big song and dance number at the very end. Because you think, well, we've already seen a big song and dance number, it's a bit too much. Well, it's nice just to have that one bit at the end.
So Mick Jagger really wanted to play Rooster, actually, in this film. But it was actually one of the second roles that Mick Jagger lost to Tim Curry because of Frankenfurter and Rocky Horror Picture Show as well. And both actors were passed over for the lead role in Clockwork Orange.
Point at Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
He seemed to have wanted to do quite a lot of acting, didn't he, Mick Jagger?
Yeah,
I don't remember him being in anything. So
I remember him being in a film.
Oh, was he in something, was he?
Yeah, I remember him being in this weird sort of futuristic film with Emilio Estevez. I can't remember what it's called, where he's driving a race car and he goes into the future and Mick Jagger's like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you."
Oh, okay. That sounds
What an
like
impression that is.
one to watch.
What an impression that was. Yeah.
That's how he talks. The last surviving film star mentioned in the song "Let's Go to the Movies" was Shirley Temple, who died on February 10th, 2014. So everyone else who they've mentioned it is, of course, has passed on.
Also, did you know as well, one of the orphans is the singer from the 80s, Martika?
Really?
Yeah.
Which
you
one?
can see her. She's in the background, but you can see her, like you notice her face a
What
couple
does
of times.
she sing, Martika?
She sang Toy Soldiers. Love Thy Will Be Done, Martika's Kitchen. She had like a bob sort of haircut. She was like, yeah, I think
So she must have
80s or early 90s, I think.
Yeah, so she must have been really young when those songs came out then, I guess. She was sort of like still a teenager, late teens, because obviously most of the kids
Late
at this
80s
are
it would have been. This is 82, so she's probably about 12, 13. Yeah, so she's probably about 18, 19, whatever. Like Tiffany sort of age kind of thing, Debbie Gibson.
Now, the story in this is different from the original Annie story, because Annie is, and the Orphan Annie, Little Orphan Annie, is an old comic strip going back to like the 1920s or 1930s. And in the original story, she comes across Daddy Warbucks by chance in the street. You know, Miss Hannigan used to send the orphans out on, and wasn't called Miss Hannigan, she was called Miss Asthma. She used to send...
Asthma?
Yeah.
Okay.
She used to send the kids out on the street to do little errands, and she bumps into Daddy Warbucks. Then on the musical, the stage musical, when Annie runs away and when she comes back and she's being reprimanded by Miss Hannigan, that's when Grace sees this happening and she sort of swoops in, and then she comes up with the idea of adopting her. And the idea of a married couple giving away their baby, this harks back to the production code, which was back in the day, like back in like 60s and before that, it was seen as a morally acceptable thing to do and just if a married couple give away a baby, rather than say like a single mother.
And it's probably more single mothers than married people that was giving their babies away, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, well that's the thing, that's why they didn't want to have it, because they thought that's, you know, it's morally wrong.
Okay.
Going back to the comic strip as well, the comic strip originally really opposed Franklin Roosevelt, which is funny considering he's in the film and has quite a present role.
Yeah, they changed Daddy Warbucks' political views slightly, because Daddy Warbucks is obviously a Republican. So Daddy Warbucks is basically like Donald Trump. You know, he's like this right wing. He's saying like about you got to work hard, very conservative views, and FDR was very left wing. So in the film they do it, which I thought was quite manipulative actually. The president watching it, because he gets, so Annie wants to see the president and Warbucks goes there in that little helicopter, which I can't remember what that helicopter's called, but that helicopter is actually like the same brand of helicopter you see at the opening credits of MASH. But when he gets there and he's like, "Yes, Annie, tell him he's got to support us, he's got to do this." And you think, keep her out of it. What are you getting her involved for? She's come here to meet you.
I've never noticed that, really.
Using her as like a political pawn.
Oh, okay.
I started throwing things at the screen.
I don't really think that's what happened.
No.
It's happened. That's what happened.
Your dad looks
And he's
really
like,
deeply into stuff.
Yeah,
Sing, Oliver, that's an order from your governor. And you think, no, why are you... I ain't singing.
I think you're just
Because little Mick
finding-
Hucknall's singing.
I think you're finding things that aren't there, Dad.
Well, no, it is, but they did change his political views slightly, as I said, like you mentioned.
And originally as well, Oliver Warbucks was, he made his money from selling guns.
Yeah, and it's hinted in his name, Warbucks. According to the assistant director, Jerry Zeisman, John Huston, the director, lost interest in directing the film and would turn up drunk. So the rest of the crew would have to sort of do all their work and he'd just be sitting there sozzled.
It must have been so hard, because if you think as well, children is a thing not to work with, and they're all going through, and also the ages they're going through, there's a lot of them probably going through puberty and stuff, and they're changing on a daily rate. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's like a big sort of
it's a
big added extra, you know, like that it's the headache that you've got to, and it's so well choreographed as well. There's so much going on in the background, and you know, to be on top of all that.
Which is why I think Aileen Quinn does do a good performance, because you see like loads of the dance numbers and stuff.
Yeah.
She's the lead.
She's a child.
She's carrying a multi-million-pound film.
Yeah.
And it's all relying on her.
Yeah.
And she sort of does it almost.
And she was 9 years old, and as I say, I think that's really out of order that she got is it a Razzie, you said?
Yeah, the backlash from that, because that's obviously that's
really
probably why
nice,
she didn't have much of a career, because people would just go, oh no, don't.
She's not a bad actress. You're only saying, oh, she's a bad actress. She's not a bad actress.
No, she's like 9
Like,
years old.
when you look at it, you don't go. I mean, you might not like her. You might think, oh, she's annoying.
I
But she's playing the. I think she plays the character really well.
Yeah, I think her performance is as good as, if not better than, say, Macaulay Culkin's performance in Home Alone.
Definitely.
And yet, Home Alone, he was lauded. Oh, isn't he great? This little child actor because he's so young.
Definitely.
And I honestly just think it's the hype around it, and because of all the other girls.
It's one person's taken a dislike to her, and they've decided, right, she's now going to be named this.
I mean, it's also just the way that, obviously, again, if you're talking about how Macaulay Culkin was praised as well, it's obviously like how men and women are treated differently as well. Like,
You think?
Well, yeah, no, because if Macaulay Culkin was playing the same role, I mean, this isn't
Playing Annie.
yeah, playing Annie, or a role similar to that, he wouldn't be facing the same kind of judgment necessarily that Annie faced.
Possibly. I mean, it could be because
Is that you just with your little woke head on though? And you
No,
thinking
you know
like
what?
that?
It could be the case, because you think often if little girls are playing up, they'll think you shouldn't be like, you should be like a little girl. You should be nice. Little boys playing up, it's like, oh, he's like Dennis the Menace. He's causing.
It's hard to answer that one, because I don't think there's any other lead female roles in a children's musical. I'm thinking of, they've got Oliver, you've got like
Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks, you've got
Mary Poppins.
yeah, there's no
But they're not
sort of,
leads.
There's more
No.
the Matilda thing, but that's later on.
Yeah, but yeah.
Matilda's not really a musical though, is it?
There is a musical.
Yeah, it's a musical.
Oh, is it?
There is a
Yeah.
musical
Okay.
now.
I think that's a good point, because I think it could be where loads of people don't like when girls are being rambunctious, when girls are being like, because she's a tomboy, isn't she, Annie, pretty much, she's fighting the boys in the street. Loads of people don't like when little girls are like that. They want little girls to be polite and pretty and nice, whereas she's such a tomboy, loads of people will go like, we don't like that.
She's a little street urchin sort of thing, isn't she?
Yeah, but if it's a boy doing it, as I said, a little
It'd be
boy
fun.
like that,
Like
yeah.
Oliver Twist
Yeah.
sort of thing, like
Yeah.
one of his
Artful
lot.
Dodger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you know as well, two dogs played Sandy? They had the stunt dog, you know, when he like jumps into the swimming pool and all that.
Oh yeah. So it's probably like a little. It's probably like someone dressed up as a dog, so jumping in the water. The screen rights for the stage show sold for $9.5 million in 1978,
That's a lot.
which was the record at the time. Just for the rights
Yeah.
to film it. It beat out. I think the previous holder was Dr. Dolittle, which maybe had like, I think about $5 million they had to pay for the rights. to
And
that.
if you think in them days as well, early 80s, that was like that's a lot of money in them days. And did you know as well, the ending was meant to be set at Christmas.
Yeah, because the original musical.
Is Christmas. It's just they couldn't afford all the fake snow, so they changed it to the 4th of July.
I like that they made it 4th of July. I love Christmas films, but it doesn't need to be a Christmas film.
Would have been a nice little Christmas film, because then it would have added to the Christmas film list.
Yeah.
So that would have actually been a nice touch, and it would have just basically just changed. The story would have been exactly the same. It just would have had the different backdrop. You know, it would have been a Christmas backdrop, so then you could go, oh, it's a nice Christmas movie. It might have been bigger.
So this is actually the only version of Annie in which she starts the show with curly hair, because in every other version her hair is actually straight at the beginning. She gets a perm at the end.
Oh.
Was it?
Yeah.
And also the dead mouse that they put down Miss Hannigan's dress is a real dead mouse.
Oh. What, did they kill it? Especially.
I think they found it.
Oh.
And they went, this will be funny, and they couldn't find a prop. They found it on set, and they actually
And that girl
used
had
it.
to bloody touch it as well. Knickerbocker's doll line included Annie, Warbucks, Punjab, Miss Hannigan, and Molly. And there were 6 Annie outfits, a mansion playset, and the Duesenberg limo.
Mansion playset, what? So they had the big mansion sort of thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't a successful toy line. They put a lot of stuff, because where like Star Wars had done the merchandise thing so well. Loads of big films they'd look beforehand before the film even came out. They'd contact say Knickerbocker and say, Annie's coming out. You want to get in early? They'd show them the film. They'd make all these toys, thinking this is gonna be huge.
I'm surprised it wasn't as big as what it was. I thought it was. As you said, it was a big film,
Yeah,
but
it was the highest
just because of the money that it cost to make it. That's the reason why it wasn't successful. It wasn't because the film wasn't successful, because the film was loved, but it's just the fact the money they spent on it and wasted on it as well.
Yeah. Right. Do you know the original lyrics to Tomorrow?
Is that when I think they cut? Is it? She's like that first line of coke. The first morning smoke and more.
No, that's not Tomorrow, is it?
Oh, no.
So the sun will come out tomorrow.
No, go on.
Right, so the original lyrics were...
The way it is now is different from the way it was before, or is it? I'm not sure. The way we live now is different. We make love instead of war, or do we? I'm not sure. All I know is there's something in there that never was there. See the arrow collar man with the prairie flower girl, yeah. Everybody does his thing today, what more can we say? But the way it is now is different, like the way it was before, or is it? I'm not sure.
The theme song was originally for a short film called Replay, which is a short story about deja vu, about how American culture replays itself, how things are going in circles.
Okay.
Thankfully, I mean, those lyrics are terrible. And yet, the lyrics for most of the songs in this, especially the film ones...
Yeah, all the songs
I
are
think they're
good.
great.
All the songs are good. I don't think there's any songs that you go, that's shit. They're actually all good.
At one point, I'd listed the songs that were in the film, and I thought, let me try and rank them, and I couldn't do it, because I thought, I can't put that one over that, and I can't put that one over that, because they are good. It depends upon the mood you're in.
Very, very good songs in it. So whatever ones they added to the film work, because you don't see that they're add-ons. You don't go, oh, that's obviously the add-on.
No.
Or that weren't meant to be there. They all sound really good.
From the Broadway production, the songs that were removed was We'd Like to Thank You, Herbert Hoover, NYC, You Won't Be an Orphan for Long, Something Was Missing, and A New Deal for Christmas, which was the end number. A New Deal for Christmas. No,
And Cha-Cha Hills as well, wasn't it?
yeah, and Cha-Cha Heels.
No.
But I listened to all these songs are on Spotify and the original Broadway production, and maybe it's just why I'm so used to the original ones. I was thinking, oh, this song's rubbish. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. The songs that were added for the film were Dumb Dog,
Good.
which is a great song. Sandy,
Yeah,
which of course
good.
is the replay. Let's Go to the Movies.
Yeah, good.
Sign.
Yeah, that's your favourite one, isn't it?
Yeah, and We Got Annie.
Yeah, they're good films.
Yeah.
I
Good
mean,
songs.
originally We've Got Annie was actually because Annie used to work in a cafe or something, in one of the original things, or in like a local place.
She's an orphan.
In like a local shop. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, orphans can have jobs.
Right, okay, go on.
No, and the workers at the cafe or
Yeah.
the cafe used to sang that number.
Really?
Yeah, I read that earlier and I was like, arching your
Annie worked in a caf. She worked in a greasy spoon.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you say, Lily?
I think, yeah, I mean, you go through phases, some songs...
You like better than
you
others
like
when you
others.
listen to
And
it.
I think at the moment my favourite one is Sign. Just because I think...
What's the one that makes you cry when you think of her?
I'll get to that.
That's the reprise, isn't it? Oh, I'll let you get to that.
Yeah.
Go on. Sorry,
I was saying about Sign.
Go on.
Sign was one of the songs that was added because Carol Burnett and Albert Finney wanted to do a song together. They didn't have a song together, so they wrote this song especially for him. And I think the lyrics for it are so clever. The way like she can't say Argentine, or like, you know, I'll never run my fingers through your hair, and you think, well, of course you won't, because he's bald anyway. And the way they're singing over each other, like, and he's
telling
saying,
a story.
You'll spend the rest of your life.
It's like a tennis match.
Yeah, it's fantastic, the chemistry between them. And you think, I'd hate to go see the stage play, and that song's not in it.
Yeah.
Or Dumb Dog, or Sandy, or Let's Go to the Movies. Or
I think people would expect something. Oh, do you reckon they've been added to the stage show now?
No.
Because they're expected, no?
Possibly.
You don't think?
Possibly, but...
Well, it's a shame, because they're missing a trick if they haven't, because they're good songs.
Because they changed with Grease. I know with Grease, obviously, Kenickie was originally meant to sing Grease Lightning.
Yeah.
And after the film, subsequent performances always have Danny singing Grease Lightning. And you think it's a shame because that's that character's song.
Yeah, because Kenickie's the only one who never had his own songs. If you think Olivia Newton-John had hers, I mean, Sandy had hers, Rizzo had hers, Danny Zuko had two, and Kenickie never had one because Danny Zuko went, I want that one.
Yeah.
I want that as well. You know,
well,
so...
actually, he had Summer Lovin' and he had Sandy and Grease Lightning.
Yeah.
Talking about Grease, Randall Kleiser, who was the director of Grease, was considered to direct this because obviously his success with Grease, which was like 4 years earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there was this movie added curse words deliberately.
Really? What curse words?
I think the C-word or something.
You don't want Annie.
Well, why not?
She's a...
No, I don't know what curse words, but they added a couple in there.
Oh, I know the bit when they're singing Let's Go to the Movies.
Turn the light off.
Yeah.
Turn the light off.
No, they have used a couple of swear words in it, and the original creator didn't like the movie.
No, but people often don't.
Yeah, like with Mary Poppins, she hated it, didn't she?
Yeah, I think it's because you make an original thing and you think you're so proud of it, and you get every part of everything you've done, even if there's bits that annoy other people, and then someone else comes in and they change it. They take out the bits that were personal to you, and you're like, that's not the film that I wrote. You know, that's the. But what they've made is something more accessible to more people.
Yeah.
And it's more successful. It wouldn't be as successful if they stuck to your original vision.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you do need to tweak things here and there to make it a success.
And movies are a collaborative thing. You can't ever pick a film and say that's all down to one person.
No.
That's all down to that director. It's all down to that star. No, it's you've got to rely on so many things. It's like when we've done Same Time Next Year, and we were saying about what a great film it is, but I had a problem with cinematography.
Yeah.
And you think if the cinematography was a bit better, maybe the film itself would be more well known and more people would know it. But you don't think about how good is the cinematography on something.
What I looked at with that, I think it looks like, you know, it's filmed like a Vaseline lens. Do you know what I mean? When it's like that misty look lens. I noticed that film has got that kind of look to it. That might be the reason why.
Yeah.
Also, Albert Finney obviously shaved his head for this role. And Aileen Quinn didn't recognise him when they was doing like sort of promotion, premiere and all that, because he had hair.
Yeah,
like he had a full head of hair, whereas like he never had no hair at all. She obviously thought he was probably bald, but I always thought he was bald. When I was younger, I always thought he was bald.
Oh yeah, until you've seen him in other things.
Yeah.
But we saw a video yesterday, didn't we, where he had his hair was obviously started to grow back. And he looked like a thug. He looked like he could have played like a skinhead in the 80s, you know. And he's talking about the film with his English accent and everything. You think, God, he looks so weird. With just the slightest bit of hair.
It's mad how hair changes someone. Like I can't imagine you with hair now.
Well, look,
but you've shaved yours purposely for this podcast, didn't you?
I've got hair now.
The house that is owned by Daddy Warbucks turned into like a college or a campus, a student. Sort of...
what, student accommodation?
No, it was like a school kind of... it turned into something. I should really have looked that up.
Lil, you got any more facts?
No, hang on, no. Listen, it turned into like a sort of like a part of a college sort of thing, and Aileen Quinn gave lectures there as a teacher, and when she went back there, she was like, "That's the staircase. That's when I done it. That's when I karate chopped him there." She in her head, she sort of got a flashback, and like it wasn't meant to be. She didn't go and do a reading there because she was Annie. It was something to do completely different with what she was doing, but she was like teaching something or another, but she was giving lectures and stuff, and it was in that building.
Lily, what's your favourite song?
Oh, I don't know. What, am I meant to have a favourite?
Yeah, because I've asked you.
I mean, like two of the numbers that like stick out to me the most is "You're Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile."
Oh, I love
the ending number as well.
Yeah.
The "You're Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile." I've always had that as quite like a comforting song.
It's a fun one as well. It's like when they're all doing the Boiling Sisters or whatever, the girls, and it's just a fun, like they're all just being children.
But again, lyrically, it's such a great song.
Yeah.
And it's such a good meaning. You know, it's saying like, hey janitor, hey senator. So it's like the two different spectrums. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. You're never fully dressed without a smile.
Yeah.
So it's saying you've got to smile.
Yeah.
Smile, and you and it's true. If you smile, you look so much better.
Yeah.
You know.
And this film, obviously, as well, it was used in the film Serial Mum.
Yes, that's right. The Tomorrow number, isn't it?
Sort of like it cost them a lot of money to use. All they used was the beginning part of Annie.
Credits, yeah.
It's the credits, and because it's where she gets murdered, the woman, and it's got Annie in the background, and she's getting beaten to death with a leg of lamb, and you've got all the blood splattering up the screen, and it's a really, because it's Annie, and it's that. I mean, that's why it cost them a lot of money to use that because of the content.
All right. So, what about you, Ben? What's your favourite song?
Maybe the end one. Because everything's brought together in the end.
No.
Yeah, I think maybe the end one because it's like you've got a bit of everyone.
And it also references.
It's like a pig in a poke. That kind of.
It's sort of.
It's got a bit of everything.
It uses other previous songs, doesn't it, and puts them all together.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's nice, and that's good that they never used the Easy Street because then it makes that bigger at the end.
Yeah.
Did you also know that the scene for Easy Street, which they obviously had to reshoot, Carol Burnett had a chin implant.
Really?
She'd had a chin implant when they had to do the reshoot. So she walks into the cupboard, it's looking at it, and she walks out and she's got a new chin. But I looked at it and I was looking at it before and after. You didn't really notice, but she'd had a chin implant in that time.
Why?
Well, she'd obviously wanted a chin implant, and it was in that time. Then they've gone, right, we need to call you back because we need to reshoot that whole scene. So they from when she walks out of the closet and then like she walks in with a different chin, she says.
Yeah.
But you don't notice. I mean, I wouldn't notice unless it was mentioned. You've never noticed it. Did you notice it?
I've never noticed.
And even when I noticed it and I watched it yesterday, and I looked and I thought, you can't really tell.
And she had enough of a chin on her anyway. Why do you want an implant?
She wanted to be bigger.
Should be like Quagmire.
When I've mentioned Annie previously, they'd actually only seen the most recent one that came out like a few years ago.
And they go, what do you watch that crap for? No. And you're like, no, I'm talking about the original from.
Did it make you cry, this film?
Made me cry.
You cry everything.
You was crying actually when we was talking about it last week. It was the bit at the end with Maybe, because it reminds you of her.
Well, a bit, I suppose. Well, it's because you think it's just like getting wrapped up in it, because seeing it from a dad's point of view as well, even though he's just like an adopted father, he's actually started to care and love Annie, and all of a sudden, as far as he knows, her real parents have turned up and taken her away.
Yeah.
You know, he's not looking down thinking con artists taken her away, he's looking down thinking her parents have taken her away, and he's happy for her. He's saying she'll be as happy as what she was here. And then when he says the end bit...
Yeah, go on, say it.
I think it's it. It made me cry.
Lily,
you remember it? I can't remember it.
Maybe I'll forget how much she meant to me.
And how she was almost my baby.
Are you crying?
No.
You sure?
No, but it is. But funny enough, that only happened to me last about 2 viewings back of Annie. You know, previous times I never really sort of paid too much attention to that bit, but then seeing it, I just thought
I found myself crying to stuff.
You cried at it when I was younger as well.
Yeah, but don't you find as you get older, Charles? I mean, I've read a couple of films that we've watched that I've seen many, many times, and I've watched and I've not even sort of batted an eyelid, and I think, oh, it's sad. And it's like I've noticed as we're getting older, I'm crying at stuff, and it's like, why am I crying at things? Is it just part of getting older? Your face just starts leaking.
Yeah, probably. I think it's where you've got more experience in life as well, so there's more things you can empathise with.
Yeah.
You know, when you're younger, you don't empathise as much.
You're quite tough and you're quite hardened towards stuff when you're young. Yeah.
Although Lily's quite empathetic already because she cries.
She cries at stuff.
She cries all the time.
No, I don't cry all the
What was
time.
that? What was the Tom Holland one you bawled your eyes at? Spider-Man.
No, it's not.
No, what was it? Impossible.
The Impossible.
The film The Impossible, which is about a real life tragedy.
Is that with people with all the stretchy necks again?
That's The Incredibles.
Oh, Incredibles.
No, The Impossible was the one. It's based on the tsunami that actually happened. It's got Ewan McGregor in it.
Oh, I've heard
and it's
about
got them
that.
split up.
Yeah, about the dad with one of the kids and the mum with the other kid, and
Yeah.
the leg come off of one of them. It snaps or something.
No, and it's like her leg gets really down.
Yeah,
badly
something
injured,
happens.
and then they
But
see.
it's a true story, isn't it?
And they go, Lucas, Lucas.
Yeah.
And that's when Lily. I looked at her. She was in floods. And also more recently, It's a Wonderful Life. When me, you, and
I
Lily
watched that and it made me cry. Christmas time. I've never watched Wonderful Life, and I know that it's been a favourite of yours for years, and I know it's a classic that everyone's seen. And I remember sitting there going, "Oh, let me watch this," because we had to do the podcast. In fact, no, I didn't have to watch it because you was doing a podcast with Mike.
Yeah.
But I thought I'll give it a go because it's a Christmas film. Let me just see what all the fuss is about. I was sobbing.
Why are you crying?
Thinking about It's a Wonderful Life now.
She cried just
God,
thinking
she's
about
definitely your
it.
father's daughter, isn't you?
But yeah, the funny thing is,
I know you didn't notice, sir. It's fine.
oh, the boy getting slapped round the ear by the pharmacist. God, yeah. Well,
Does that remind you when your dad used to hit you around the head?
Yeah. I feel like making my tea.
I just find that the older I've got, the more emotional I've got. And I'm sort of going, oh, sort it out. But then I think, well, I also think it's good to cry. I think it's sort of like it's a release that if you feel that you need to cry because holding stuff in, it's like you might be crying, thinking you're crying at something, you might be crying at something else. But it's a release. If you can release crying, get it out your system. And I always find if I have had a cry, I sleep really well. It's like it drains me.
It's therapeutic.
Yeah.
It is therapeutic. And sometimes, you know, like, if you're in a position when you know you're upset about something, but you can't cry, sometimes it's good to watch something you know is going to trigger
Yeah.
it. You know, like there's an episode of Futurama always gets me.
The one with the dog.
Yeah, Jurassic Park. And there's song at the end, but you've got to watch the whole episode, so when the song plays at the end, you're like, and afterwards you think, oh, I needed that. I think it's the same as sort of laughing. It's the same as, it's one of those things, as a human, you need to sort of experience these things.
It's emotions, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can cut this out, but I think I've only just thought of this, but with that whole, like, the dog waiting for Fry, that's probably based on a true story about Hachiko, the dog in Japan.
Okay.
Have you ever looked into that before?
No, tell me, Cameron.
Oh, no, but I mean, it's not really interesting for the podcast.
Well, it sounds interesting. Hachiko.
Hachiko, the dog, who was waiting for his owner for years and never turned up. And there's a statue.
This happens quite a lot. With all sorts of animals. Animals, dogs especially, with loads of when the partners have gone.
Yeah. Well, no, so there's a statue of it in Japan as well. It's quite a prolific story.
Oh, yeah, I think I might have heard of that. I think you might have told me that before.
There's another film about it. There's a film with a dog where he come to the station each day, where his owner died. It's a true story as well.
That's probably based on it.
And this, hang on, who was in this? I can't think who was the main actor in it, but his dog followed him. But the dog went there every single day for years after, and they made a statue of the dog, and everyone waited. He would wait there for his master to come, and his master never came. And like every day, he went there till he died. Right, on IMDb, this film got 6.6 out of 10.
Ooh.
Which...
It's quite low.
Yeah, it's right low. Rotten Tomatoes, it got 49% from the critics and 69% by the audience, which I would have thought would have been higher. You know, it's worthy of being higher. And the budget was between 35 to 50 million.
Wow.
And it made 57.1 million, so wasn't a really big... It was that would have been a lot, 57.1 million, if it hadn't cost so much to make it. But it was a successful film, and it is a successful film, and I think definitely, by all means, it's hands down the best out of all the Annie remakes, and any remake that's going to come. It's done well. And it's a good film.
It's often compared to Oliver, but I prefer this to Oliver.
I prefer this to Oliver.
I think it's better songs.
Yeah.
I think it's more upbeat. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Charles Dickens. But
they go really well together, Annie and Oliver. It's like the female and the male version, isn't it? The yin and yang.
Yeah.
But this is the more fun film, definitely, I would say. Carol Burnett is amazing at playing Miss Hannigan.
What a great character. And like her song, that's probably your favourite song, isn't it? Little Girls. Little Girls, Little Girls.
I like a lot of the songs in it. No, I like a lot of the songs in it.
Again, every song in that, I just think of the lyrics. I think, well, I love that lyric. I love those lyrics. I love...
Really well written, a lot of them.
Look at what I'm dripping with.
Yeah, yeah. And she's so, like, such a caricature, you know. She's like, so over the top. She's almost like a Cruella de Vil. She's almost like the one out of The Rescuers. That kind of over animated kind of caricature, you know. And that's what I love about her. She's brilliant in this film.
See, originally, she they gave her like at the very end where she fights Rooster. Originally, she doesn't.
No.
There's the bit where she's like, when he first mentions, and then we'll do her in, and she goes, "Oh, we can't do that." And then he goes, "Think about the money," and she goes, "Okay." So they really sort of demonised her like playing before this, but then with the film, they thought, "Now let's give her that little bit at the very end."
I'm glad they do that
Rooster.
Because at the end, you sort of look and you think she's not a bad person. And at the end, she tries to save Annie. She's like when it looks like he's going to kill her, and she's like, he's really going to kill her, and then she's just a little orphan. She's a little girl. Leave her, you know, like so. She sort of redeemed all that badness that she'd done in the whole film with that little scene there. And at the end, when she finds Punjab,
but you don't agree with that, do you?
Well, I don't think. I mean.
You don't think she does enough to redeem herself?
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not me saying, like, oh no, she's a completely awful person, like, but it's just, I don't think it's fair to just say, like, oh, she's a perfectly great person just because she does one good thing.
No, I understand.
Because, I mean, I personally live by the belief system that, like, a bad person can do a good thing, good people can do bad things, but it's about how much you do, and considering she doesn't do enough to necessarily redeem herself, I just...
Yeah, I get that. But, see, this is the other thing. Watching it, and this is only watching it yesterday, I really empathise with Miss Hannigan. I was thinking, imagine you had that job. Because you think at the time, the Great Depression, it's hard to have a job anyway. Her job that she's lumbered up with one way or another, maybe she got into it because she actually liked the kids at first. She's now stuck in this orphanage with hundreds of little girls who just constantly like dropping mice down her top, stamping on her foot all the time. She's like, they never miss, and it would drive you to drink. And she's all on her own. She's like, really, she just wants love. She's like, I'm all on my own. I'm getting drunk. I can't even get drunk without kids pulling faces at me. You're like, oh, get out of it, you know. And you know, she's on the verge of madness. She says, I'll land in the nut house with all the nuts and the squirrels.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Yeah, I do feel, and I'm glad that she does redeem her character. And I know it's not a lot she does, but there's not really much more you can do in a short space of time, rather than showing her that she's now making up to the orphans and she's now doing this, now doing that. You basically just sort of getting the idea that she's now seen the error of her ways, and when push comes to shove, she's like, no, hang on, like you're going to kill her. That she's a little child. Don't hurt her. You know, like. You know, so I like that side of it.
Horrible. Like, I'm not saying Miss Hannigan's like an awful person. I just don't think she does enough.
So does Annie make you cry at all, Lily?
The end's good. I think the end when she goes up that thing and he's like about to drop her off the building bit. It's quite
an action,
quite dramatic.
Because you think, and
it is quite it's like, oh, is she going to get dropped and splattered?
Yeah. Why are you crying?
Are you crying at that? Oh.
Crying about poor Rooster getting kicked down the slide.
Yeah.
That actually looks quite fun when he slides down. I think I'd like to do that. Yeah. Okay, cool. Right, so Ben, what is your pick for next week?
Right, I'm picking a film from the 90s, which is Thelma and Louise.
Okay, cool.
But I love that film. Thelma and Louise is a really good film, and also it's a film that is unlike any other film. And I like films when they're not like a run-of-the-mill type of film. It's a completely different story, and you don't know where it's going to go. And it's just a really good film. It's a groundbreaking film.
Okay, so Thelma and Louise.
Yes.
All right, well, thanks for listening. And
thanks for joining us, Lily.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Good.
Okay, well, your face can tell us the difference. No, you stop crying now. It's all good.
All right.
All right then. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and please like, subscribe, and share.
Share.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, share it, because otherwise people don't find us. All right.
All right.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening, day, whatever. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
What's this?
This is Annie, sir. This is the orphan who will be staying with us for a week.
Orphan? What are you talking about?
Well, they wanted to take photographs of you sharing your home, sir, with an orphan. Don't you remember, sir? It's only for a week.
This doesn't look like a boy. Orphans are boys.
Oh, you didn't say you wanted a boy, sir. You just said an orphan, so I got a girl.
I want a boy.